I think I'll read back a little bit. Yeah, I will. I'll read back a little bit. Okay. This story I'm about to read is called Euphoria. I think I'll read it back. Yeah, okay. All right. Back in the White House, the president was performing ablution and thinking about the speech he was to deliver at the UN in 2 days that would put all of the United States under Sharia law while the White House would continue to not fly an Islamic flag. The president thought it far too late for this, as it was, being that he felt America had been under Sharia law already. No one complained that millions of U.S. tax dollars were not only funding the rebuilding of mosques in war-torn Islamic countries, but no one complained either that it was exportation and prison time in Pakistan if someone was to try to expose Islam on the internet or say insulting things about Allah's messenger. Being the case, the day at the UN that he dreaded and feared for a decade now felt as if it was going to be the easiest of cakewalks. Not only did he feel he wouldn't be assassinated, but that he'd be getting standing O's from everyone in that hall. As the president continued his ablution, he felt a bit sick when it struck him that he saw a video of Niles Neville letting a Muslim know that the Quran said that if there was no water around for ablution, one could use clean soil. The words clean soil were like a knife in the president's heart. How could one use clean soil to wash out the devil from one's nose? Wondered the president as he was using water to wash out his nose. The president was very careful with all his moves, for every move he did was being watched by a camera as he washed all the areas the Hadith told Muslims to do. When he was done, he became a bit nervous as he rolled out his prayer rug and started doing Islamic prayer, facing what he believed to be the black Cuban Mecca. 5 minutes into the salat, the nervousness began to abate, thinking he was going to be successful this time and not have to do the whole action again, like he was starting to have to do more and more due to a deteriorating physical ailment. Suddenly, the president cringed when he accidentally farted while being in prostration, setting off alarms in the room. Not again, he whimpered, with his eyes closed in dread. The image of a person in a glowing white burqa from the neck up appeared on the huge TV screen that the president was using to watch internet videos on earlier. Again, asked the president. Again, said the image of a computerized Max Headroom fashion, but with a pleasant female voice. Yeah, again, said the image in computerized Max Headroom fashion, but with a pleasant female voice. The image said in an Arabic accent, "When you pass the wind, it makes a sound. According to Muhammad, peace be upon him, if that is to happen, you have to perform the whole prayer over again." "Oh, Allah," groaned the president. That's what's wrong. What's the matter with me? Ever since I came down with MS, it's hard to keep from doing that. Especially meaning that the diet of Muhammad makes me so damn gassy. Why did hummus have to be so popular with Muslims? Why?" The image on the TV screen said that the image on the TV screen said, with the president mouthing the words from memory, "For the health of your immortal soul, O slave of Allah, you need to perform the ablution all over again." As the image faded off the screen, 2 of the president's men walked into the room after knocking. It was the vice president and the latest Homeland Security chief, both dressed in Islamic garb. The president asked, the vice president asked, "Happened again, Your Highness?" "Happened again," said the president with seething anger. "I got something for you," said the Homeland Security chief. He pulled out something that looked like a tube and said, "This should keep you from making a sound when doing as-salat." The vice president smiled and said, "Does it have a filter as well?" According to Muhammad, praise be unto him, if it makes a smell, one has to perform salat all over again also. And there are detectors here for that. The president closed his eyes and shouted, "Tell me about it. Tell me about it." The president said, Does Allah have something against those of us who are either too old or, in my case, have MS? I try so hard not to fart when in prostration, to keep from doing the whole salat over again, but it slips out, and the damn detectors just have to go off. It's humiliating. It's almost daily now that this happens as my condition gets worse. Is there going to come a time where I'll have to have my patootie in the air 50 times a day, like the way Allah originally wanted it? Patootie? Asked the Homeland Security chief. Oh, you don't want to know, said the vice president. Oh, you don't want to know, said the vice president. It's an internet virus going around that mocks the glorious position of Salat. The Homeland Security chief didn't say anything, but just lifted the fart silencer device up to the president's field of vision. Damn, the president almost shouted. Why did I have to agree to have detectors to set up to show I'm Sharia compliant? Why did I have to prove to the Saudis that I'm pious and will show it to get cheaper fuel prices? Why do I have to prove that I'm not on the side of the Shiites? There were detectors set up in Muhammad's day. No one recorded old gassy geezers then, so why have it now? The security chief said, when you are lined up with others, you can hear it, even though the imam is saying Allahu Akbar, which sounds kind of like someone the president fought hard not saying farting, fought hard to not say farting, yeah. Which sounds kind of like someone the president fought hard not to say farting and didn't say it. Instead, the president shouted, how about when you are alone? Do you do it again when you are alone? Do you have to do the whole prayer if you aren't in a mosque, but in your own private room? Gee, I don't know, said the security chief. The president said, the White House is now a mosque. According to tradition, any structure that Salat is performed in is a mosque from then on. That is why we let pastors and preachers invite us into their churches with Chrislam. Many still haven't caught on to the reality that their churches are now marked for being mosques when I impose Sharia in the UN. The president took the fart silencer device and said, well, thanks. Hopefully those humiliating alarms won't go off now. Well, maybe those who wouldn't prostrate after making the sound from farting went to hell for not doing Salat over again? If so, I guess I shouldn't complain. The vice president looked bothered and said, 50 times a day? Allah originally wanted us to do Salat 50 times a day? 50 times a day, said the president. Just found that out today. Where? Asked the vice president. The president pointed to the screen that showed videos off the internet of the internet. He walked over to the control panel and said, from this guy. The president pressed a button and the face of Niles Neville filled the screen, replacing the burqa-faced figure. The president said, it's the same guy who inspired Israel to attack the Kaaba with pig parts. He also made other videos, like this one. With the clicking of a few buttons on the keyboard, the image of Niles Neville came on with the title of the video that read on the computer screen, "Oh Muslim, aren't you glad that Muhammad got it down to just 5 prayers a day?" When the video was completely downloaded, Niles' video image said, "Oh Muslim, I just found out that according to the Hadith, Allah originally wanted you Muslims to not worship 5 times a day, but to bow to the black stone 50 times a day. Can you imagine that? 50 times a day. Yeah. Can you imagine that? 50 times a day. It was during the time Muhammad took a flying donkey, like a flying donkey called Barak, up to heaven after he had the donkey fly him one night to visit both the Jerusalem temple and the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. It was about that time Muhammad met Jesus, who Muhammad said was red in the face, as if straining at stool. In other words, constipated. And during that time where Muhammad looked into hell and saw that most of the inhabitants of hell were women because they, quote, cuss more and show ungratefulness toward their husbands, unquote. Oh, and the fact that women have, quote, half a brain, unquote, compared to that of a man. It was all during this time that Muhammad found out that Allah wanted Muslims to worship the black stone, I mean Allah, 50 times a day. 50 times a day, O slave of Allah. Can you imagine washing up and pulling out a prayer rug 50 times a day? Clean your nose, pulling out a prayer rug and sticking your patootie up in the air? 50 times a day. And supposedly, according to Muhammad, Satan is washed out of your nose from sleeping in the upper interior of it just after the first 3 washings of your nose, making it so you'd then be spending 147 times washing out your nose for nothing. For nothing. But guess what, O slaves of Allah? Guess. Yeah. Yeah. But guess what, O slaves of Allah? Guess what? Muhammad was able to get Allah to bring your worshiping the Kaaba, I mean worshiping Allah, down to only 50 times a day. Aren't you glad? Aren't you grateful? I mean, if I had to worship Allah 50 times a day, how in the world could I mean, if you had to worship Allah 50 times a day, how in the world could you ever find time to do something productive and beneficial, like, say, winning a Nobel Peace Prize, like so many Jews have been able to do? I don't know about you, O slave of Allah, but I think you should be very grateful to Muhammad for bringing down Salat to a mere 5 times a day, instead of 50. Was it really to be 50 times a day until Muhammad, praise be unto him, flew on the donkey in the night journey? Asked the vice president with a sick look in his eyes. The president was about to nod yes when suddenly the digital image of Niles Neville said, "Oh, by the way, I looked further into the night journey Muhammad said he took on a flying donkey-like creature with a human head. It turns out that the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Temple of Solomon said he It turns out that the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Temple of Solomon, he said he visited before going up to heaven on the flying Barak donkey, talking all into bringing prayer down to only 5 times a day, didn't exist at the same time. Did you hear that, O slaves of Allah? Both the Solomon Temple and the Al-Aqsa Mosque Muhammad said he visited with a flying donkey didn't exist at the same time at all, ever. On top of it, Aisha said Muhammad never left the bed even. Being the case, it was probably a dream and not something that actually happened like the Sahih correct hadiths have it. Still though, dream or not, I think it's something you should be very grateful for not having for not having to have your patootie up in the air 50 times a day, thanks to Muhammad getting the worship craving Allah to bring it down to only 5 times a day. The president looked at the vice president looked at the president and asked with a worried expression in his eyes, "The Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Solomon Temple, praise be unto him, the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Solomon Temple, Muhammad, praise be unto him, said he visited during his night journey, didn't exist at the same time?" The Homeland Security chief then said, "He's just another lying cover." The president, seeing the camera on him, said in a whisper, "I'm not a Bible scholar, but now that I'll